Well, my name's Carolyn Ferguson, and my father came to Atholl Estates in the November of 1949. He had actually done the season with the stoker at Forest Lodge, who was retiring. We were there until the summer of 1951, and then my father moved down to the kennels, and he was there for about 25 years until he retired in 1976, and we moved to Wood End, and that is where he spent the rest of his life in retirement. Well, we used the train on special occasions if we were going for a day to Perth. When we lived in Glentilt, obviously we had to arrange for a taxi to take us to the station, and that was from Alec McRae, who was the garage owner at that time, and he would have to come up Glentilt and pick us up and take us to the station, and then take us home again at night after we got back from Perth. When we moved to the kennels, it was possible to walk to the station from there, but again, if the weather was poor, obviously we needed to hire a taxi to get there and back. It was not a frequent occurrence to go on the train, really, unless you had to go for a day out or had to keep an appointment in Perth or elsewhere. The most frequent travelling I did from Blair Atholl station was when I was going to school in Pitlochry, where we had to get the train every morning into Pitlochry, and then walk up to the school, and then walk down again and get the train at night and get back to Blair Atholl station, and then walk home to the kennels. That was every school child from Blair Atholl and from further north, and Strew and Calveen did the same thing when you reached 12 and went on to Pitlochry High School. Well, the porter at the Blair Atholl station at that time was Jimmy McBain, and he was a very well-known character. He had a word for everybody. He was a very popular man and very obliging. He got postcards from people all over the world, I think, and he's in the room in the station, and everybody knew Jimmy. Yeah, people who'd come every year to the estate for deer stalking, and that he would be helping them with their luggage, and they all knew him. I remember one of the station masters at Blair Atholl was a Mr. Grieve, and they had 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter, and they attended Blair Atholl school. I remember the youngest was Irene, and she was a lovely fair-haired girl. I think there was still steam trains in the late 40s, early 50s, but I think by the time I was travelling to Pitlochry school, that would be about 53, 54. By that time, I think it was diesel locomotives at that time. Well, the people who are roughly my age, and that's in the late 70s, 80s, would have used the train to get to school and to go to Pitlochry High School. Like people like Libby McRae and people of that vintage who would have. We all went to Pitlochry School via the train. Well, in my youth, and very few ordinary people had cars. But then when we began to move into the late 50s and into the 60s, more and more folks were able to have their own car, and of course the result of that was that they used the train much less frequently, and eventually they decided to close the station. When we first came to the Glen, there was the post office, of course, and there was Alistair Seaton's shop. He was a saddler to trade, but eventually he ended up selling most things. And then there was a baby linen shop down on the road to the level crossing. It was a Mrs. Walker who ran it and she sold baby clothes mainly, and wool and sort of haberdashery. And then C.C. Stewart's ran the store, which is now called the Premier Store. And there was also another shop along Blair Cottages that was run by a Mrs. Campbell for McCarricker and McNaughton of Aberfeldy. They were the firm, and she worked for the firm, and they sold again clothes and underwear and all that sort of thing. All of that's gone now, of course. There was the Atholl Arms Hotel, which is still functioning, and the Tilt Hotel, and there was a grocer's shop where the Tilt Stores is now. The difference, another change was down where the mill is. At that time, the mill was not functioning as a mill, but then Mr. Cameron Ridley came and he got the mill going, I think, in the 1980s. So that was a change for the better. The people I remember being employed on the railway during the 50s was, apart from Jimmy McBain, was a Mr. Sutherland, and there were other people there. Carkery was another name I remember. And quite a few others over the years in various different jobs on the railway. It did employ, I think, a few people.